Times Influence Initiative.
The Digital India Summit and Awards 2017, hosted annually by the Times Network and now in its third edition, has become a thought leadership platform on powering the country's digital economy. And the Digital India Heroes series is an attempt to highlight the award-winning, groundbreaking digital initiatives that are transforming India's corporate and socio-economic landscapes alike. Leveraging technology to offer cancer patients the most cutting-edge and comprehensive treatment recommendations that research has to offer is Manipal Hospitals. And what's made it possible for Manipal Hospitals to provide highly personalized, world-class treatment is its enterprise-wide rollout of IBM Watson. IBM Watson is an advanced artificial intelligence-based platform that both doctors and patients have come to trust when it comes to treating cancer.
What sort of strides have we made as a country when it comes to cancer treatment? And how advanced, how mature is our medical oncology practice when compared to global counterparts?
Yeah, so I think let me start with the good news. You remember in 1970s there was a movie called Anand with Rajesh Khanna and Amitabh Bachchan, and at that time cancer was a death sentence. That's not the case anymore. That was the case when I was a medical student at AIIMS mid-80s. But the great news is today most cancer patients can be treated successfully. The big caveat is that they have to be picked up early, they have to be diagnosed early. The other good news is that the medical expertise has expanded. We can do the most complex surgeries, we have the top class radiation equipment available in the country. But having said that, there are two big problems. One is just the sheer burden of disease has grown. If you see the latest statistics, we nearly have 1 million new patients being diagnosed every year. If we apply what we see from global trends to India, we might have upwards of 20 million patients. It's just that they're not being diagnosed. A lot of people are scared to go in for a mammogram or to go in for a colonoscopy or whatever is needed. So we think we are under-diagnosing cancer patients in India. So I think that's one big problem. The second big problem is while all the technology is there, the number of doctors available are very less. So we just have 2,000 oncologists for taking care of these 10 million patients.
Manipal Hospitals has rolled out IBM's Watson implementation to address exactly this issue. How is it built and what is it designed to do?
So if you see last year, 2016, nearly 150,000 articles on cancer were published. 150,000 research papers were published in just 1 year. Watson deploys many tools of artificial intelligence, cognitive computing, but one of them is NLP, natural language processing, which means that Watson can read, Watson can understand a written text, and over time Watson will also understand verbal speech. What that means is it can go through millions of pages of text, digest them, and then synthesize them into insights which become available to doctors. Patient used to ask me, Dr. Saab, how are you sure that this is the best treatment, right? And in those days I could not answer that question, but today if I have Watson on my desktop, I can say that here is the latest research and here is evidence why protocol A is better than protocol B. So I think that comfort is what made our doctors super excited.
How do you measure the impact of such a solution?
So our board took a very bold decision after we did the deal with IBM that we will make this available for free. So although it's a multi-million dollar investment from our side, we did not want to charge patients a fee for choosing Watson. So if you come to a Manipal hospital, and we have this available in 7, 8 of our hospitals, so that's the first metric. How many patients are using it, right? We have also added an online module where if you are not able to come to a Manipal hospital, you can go online, you can submit your documents through an online system, you can pay a small fee, and then you can get a full Watson opinion as well as a video conference between our oncologist and your doctor. So we think that's very powerful, that pretty much these 10 million patients that I was talking about can go online and get this.
Do those metrics tell the story that such a rollout makes viable business sense?
So look, while business is important, you have to remember Manipal has been in healthcare delivery for almost 60 years. And a lot of that time, for the first 50 years, we were a not-for-profit. The Manipal University is still run as a not-for-profit. Our top hospitals in the teaching hospitals are run as not-for-profits. So we had that lens in mind when we were talking about, giving it away for free. But to be very transparent, there is an expectation, and we are already seeing that expectation being fulfilled, where because patients feel that this is so cutting edge, they choose to come and get their entire treatment done at Manipal. So in a sense, that's our business model, where we are saying we will give you such good quality care that we want more patients who earlier may not have chosen Manipal to come to Manipal. So we think it's very viable. We think even if for those patients in Guwahati, Patna, Delhi, where we do not have a hospital, who get our online opinion of Watson and a video consultation, we are very happy with that, because we feel we want to serve the full country. We want to serve these people who are suffering, and we are grateful that we are living in times where telecom and internet has penetrated such deep parts of India, that you may be a shopkeeper in a small town in Bihar and you can afford small amount for your mother's Watson opinion. Imagine the comfort that family will have, that my mother is getting the same treatment that she would have got in Sloan Kettering while sitting in a small town in Bihar.
When it comes to the treatment of patients, bedside manner is critical. What role has IBM's Watson implementation played in humanizing the treatment of cancer?
Actually, that's a great question, because one of the big questions our patients have is that, Dr. Saab, this treatment is very expensive and cost. You have to understand that in India, most patients are paying out of pocket. Insurance is growing, but most patients are not covered as of today. This was a question that IBM had not faced, because in the US and many other countries where it has sold Watson, insurance pretty much covers everything, and so cost is not really a debate point. In India it is. So we worked with IBM and we worked with our own IT experts to build what we call a cost calculator. That gives our doctors an ability to have a conversation that, look, this is the best treatment. It's probably going to cost you, I'll just give a number, 5 lakh rupees. But there is a second best treatment available, which is generic drugs which were approved 20 years ago, which are not cutting edge, but which might have slightly more side effects, but it will cost you 3 lakhs. So that's a very interesting conversation to have with a middle class family, that are you willing to take the best and pay 5 lakhs, or maybe the second best, still effective, slightly more uncomfortable, but it will save you 2 lakhs. And for some families, that's a big deal. And I think that's a human element that Watson and a collaboration with our own IT experts has brought to our patients, where not only can you have a conversation on what is the best, and there are many families who will say, you know what, I have money, give me the best. And we can cater to those families. There are many families which will say, doc, we want to treat our son, we want to treat our father, but we can't afford that much. And therefore, our doctors are able to have that conversation as well. So I think that human element, that cost element being taken care of by Watson is a big advance, and it's something that we are very excited about.
What are future applications of digital technology that you foresee revolutionizing medical oncology going forward?
Medical oncology is a core field, but we are also seeing in oncology many other technologies. But what robotics does is gives very advanced precision medicine available to our doctors. So for example, if you do a thyroid surgery from here, normally we would have had to make a big incision. Today our doctors can do a thyroid surgery from an axilla. An axilla is over here. So they will cut a small incision here, go under the skin, remove your thyroid cancer, within a few minutes. It's not a very long procedure, and if you're a young woman, you have no scar and you have a full recovery. The other big advances in oncology have been in radiation, and we have some of the most advanced radiation equipment available with us. So it's a multimodality approach, right? So Watson will tell you what to do. Then you have to have the best drugs, chemotherapies, the best surgeries, and the best radiation. So we have all of that. And therefore, we feel that Watson has really put us at the forefront of cancer care in India, where patients can be sure they're getting the best treatment protocols as well as the best surgeries that they need.
Manipal Health Enterprises has been able to offer cancer patients in even the country's most remote regions the best treatment available, in large part due to its implementation of IBM Watson. Powered by the IBM Watson personalized treatment recommendation engine, Manipal Hospitals is rightly credited for bringing a cost-conscious yet richly clinical transparency to cancer care in India.
It's time for a short break, but up next, our Digital India Summit Winner Series continues. We'll be right back. Welcome to the Digital India Summit Winner Series. Economically empowering intellectually disabled adults is Bangalore-based social enterprise Amba. They're going digital, but with a difference. Have a look.
Armed with passion and purpose, Amba is equipping adults with intellectual disabilities with sought-after skills that enable them to pursue a life of dignity and self-dependence. With a holistic approach that caters to both the social development and professional potential of low IQ adults across the country, Amba is transforming the lives of this often cast-aside community by nurturing their natural abilities.
So there are many existing programs in place designed to enhance the lives of adults with intellectual disabilities, but far fewer to economically empower them. How did Amba come to life?
We started with the will to do something. We realized that ICT, the computer particularly, is such an amazing tool to get the attention of persons with intellectual disabilities. And so we started with that. 2007, we found a curriculum that was appropriate and then kept developing the curriculum. So when we started with the curriculum, we realized that most of them who came to us didn't even have an understanding of the alphabet. So we knew it had to be visual. So we started with using the computer as a tool initially to get them to look at the alphabet as a visual. And then we used visual matching processes. And we got them to do data entry using the computer. So what Amba has done is we haven't taught them how to use the computer. We use the computer as a tool to do data entry and audit. So in the first 3 years, we collaborated with the Indian Air Force. And we took this training through to the first 10 children. We got them work from Tata Teleservices. We then built that partnership and took it through to Tambaram and Delhi, which was so fulfilling. But I didn't realize how much more we needed to do down the road. And then Ashoka recognized us because we now had this curriculum in place. They concluded that this was a new idea, and I got the Ashoka Fellowship. And I got a stipend every month for the next 3 years to go with it. And that's when I decided to scale, to use that money for travel and take it through to another 31 centers, collaborations again. These youngsters, when we brought clients to see their capability, they never said no. But we were never able to close deals because in the second phase of training, when our youngsters learned how to use the computer, they were still very slow. They were still groping for the keys. So we realized we had to factor in something more to maximize their efficiency. So this is when we brought in simulation. So I come from a background in aviation, and I knew that pilots, they crash in the simulator. And it's only when they stop crashing that they, allow them to fly you and I on a commercial aircraft. So therefore, what we did was we lunged in a simulated training process, which was really live work, but with dummy forms. We maximized their efficiency, and then we brought in clients to see them. And then it made a huge difference.
So Amba was founded in 2004, arguably in the early part of the digital age. How did you come to the conclusion that leveraging digital technology was the most appropriate approach in this case?
So I did a lot of research. And the whole idea of doing something in employment for these youngsters started from the fact that I was on the National Board of Special Olympics. We had sent about 81 youngsters to Ireland for the World Summer Games, for the Special Olympics World Summer Games. They came back with 110 medals, 37 were gold. But in 2 days, people forgot about them. The media covered them probably for a week. And this is a community that is a stress on the family and society, especially during puberty, because of the fact that there are such behavior problems that we can manage during puberty that these youngsters have challenges with. But when I saw people losing interest in them, medals seemed to be a recognition for the moment. But in a while, everything went back to normal. And the abuse, whether it was physical or it was, mental, it was really hard on these kids. So at the next board meeting, I suggested to our board, then we should probably go and meet with the different ministries to see if we can get them work. So we realized economic empowerment had a more lasting effect. It not only brought economic empowerment to the family, but it also brought holistic empowerment and social empowerment.
What's especially unique at AMBA is this peer-to-peer learning model, where one intellectually disabled adult is teaching another. Why this approach?
So it happened by accident. I started like everyone. I employed 2 special educators. I learned so much from them. But the commitment levels were not so great. They did wonderful, but there were days when they would take off, and when both the special educators took off one day, one of my peers said, "Can I do the training, ma'am?" And that's how it started. And we've just built it up from there. And I realized that you and I give away too much information. And too much information just goes over their heads. So if you want to get their attention, you've got to give them small pockets of information. So in different circumstances, we tried it out. Initially, we tried it with the people who were more able. They took on the non-computer activity under our supervision, but minimal supervision. So we would teach them a pocket of information, and they would go and impart that to others. And then we said, let's take it to the next level. So in the AMBA certified partner centers, partnerships that we have all over India, what we did was we divided these 20 youngsters into higher and lower ability. And we made buddies who had higher and lower ability. Taught the people with higher ability first and showed them how to teach the lower ability. And it worked wonders, because then you got through a one-on-one learning, which was peer-driven, where there were no distractions, because you and I are a distraction to people with intellectual disabilities.
Beyond empowering individuals, you've brought together entire communities of adults with intellectual disabilities. Your growth story seems to have been highly organic. Walk us through some of the major milestones.
When we decided in 2013 that we would scale, and we scaled to another 45 centers in the next 2 years, the incremental costs went up. And this was the only thing that kind of stalled us from growing further, which is why in 2015 I went to the Tata Trust. And in half an hour, they decided to give me a huge team that could help me scale into another 100 centers. And that's how we realized that we could maximize efficiency of monitoring the training and making sure that that work excellence was available in all our partner centers also.
How scalable is this model, and how many lives ultimately do you think AMBA has the capacity to impact?
Let me give you the collaboration in Nagpur, for instance. We started with 30 youngsters with intellectual disability. We had difficulty finding work. And to cut a long story short, we got the solution in our partnership with Dinshaw Ice Cream. And over 8 years, these 30 youngsters grew to 150 youngsters, doing 10,000 forms of data entry in 3 languages, mind you. So two things that struck us at that time. One was the capacity for each center to grow to an average of at least 100 youngsters from the 20 that we start when we start our collaboration. The second thing that we realized was we were always of the understanding that we could do data entry only in English because of the fact that you have the matras and the complication of characteristics in all the other languages. Our target for 2025 is to reach at least 1,500 partnerships in all states in India. Now, if I were talking to you about a month ago, I would stop there. But I've met with NSDC. I have met with the government in Karnataka. And there are some very, very futuristic thinking people. And I've realized if I can believe what they say, and if we can get the kind of support that they do say they can give us, we could probably be able to scale 10 times that.
Empowering the lives of intellectually disabled adults is a huge responsibility to shoulder. What was the motivation for you making a career of it?
I'm telling you, it's the children that do that. Because every time I see them take themselves into another level, you know, I realize how much easier it should be for us to take ourselves to another level. They change us. They have made me a better person, and I notice every single person who gets employed, it doesn't take more than a month or 10 days to realize for themselves that they are becoming better people, they are becoming more responsible people. Because how do you know a person's limit unless you push their limits, right?
Deeply committed to the cause, Amba is identifying innovative paths to employment in the face of growing global automation. By leveraging its compassionate yet cutting-edge approach, Amba is setting the new standard in recognizing and rewarding adults with moderate to severe intellectual disabilities for the achievers that they are. Next week on Digital India Heroes, we bring you the Pune City Surveillance Project powered by Allied Digital Services, the Smart Biomedical Waste Management System by the Uttar Pradesh Health System Strengthening Project, and online emotional wellness coach, Your Dost. Stay tuned.
A Times Influence Initiative.